welcome to What a Flippin' Takes. Happy New Year's 2019. We're kicking it off with Amy. I have this special guest on here. She is amazing. That's why she's my first guest for 2019. She's a rock star in this industry, and I am very proud to have her on. So thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me. I feel very honored and blessed. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, well, thank you. So Amy has a lot going on. She is seriously a Wonder Woman. I don't know how she does it all, but tell us about yourself, because you have a ton going on in your life.
Yeah, thank you. So much. I mean, several years ago, I quit my corporate job to pursue a career in entrepreneurship. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was never a manager of people. And it was around 2014 that I founded a real estate educational company called Fortune Builders. Mm-hmm. They're actually based out of here in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And real estate has always been a passion of mine, but I never really knew to what degree. And when I was introduced to Fortune Builders, I realized at one of their 3-day events how much opportunity was available if it was something I really wanted to apply myself to. Mm-hmm. And so I quit my corporate job that I'd been at for 14 years, knowing nothing about real estate. My background's technology. Okay. And I became a student of Fortune Builders. And they actually taught me the entire business from the ground up in order to build my team, identify distressed properties, evaluate repairs, everything. So that's kind of what triggered everything.
So where were you living at that time? Was it in San Diego or was it another state? Where did you go to this 3-day event?
Great question. So I actually attended a 3-day event in Washington, D.C. I was out there visiting a friend of mine, and he always knew that I had HGTV and DIY on in the background. And again, it was never anything I ever thought of as a lifestyle. I thought it would be maybe a hobby. Mm-hmm. So I was living in Chicago. I flew to DC to visit my friend, and that's where we attended the workshop. And then I started as a student in Chicago.
Okay, very cool. So how long was that education or that coaching program for you?
Yeah, great question. So there are so many different programs you can invest in, and it's a lifelong program, lifelong education, lifelong coaching and mentoring. And that's really what got my foot into the door. I figured it out, and in year 1, for example, knowing nothing about real estate, my goal was only to renovate 2 to 3 homes. Mm-hmm. But because of the coaches, the systems, their guidance, their tools, I was able to renovate 10 homes in just 1 year while working a full-time job.
Oh, wow. So what year was that?
That was in 2014.
Okay, very cool.
So yeah, so it was exciting, very unexpected, and then that kind of just led into several other things. They asked me to be one of their coaches, and now I feel very humbled to be able to teach some of their newer students who come into the program. Okay. And through that I became a speaker, and I was able to leave my full-time job, and now I work in real estate full-time. Mm-hmm. And then eventually through my coaching and speaking, through the Fortune Builders platform, I learned that there was demand out there for people to learn how to network. Mm-hmm. And it's just something that has always come very natural to me. And I didn't even realize that so many people out there could benefit from different networking systems and strategies. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to August of 2018, after the real estate thing and several other different businesses that I had launched, I ended up writing a book on strategic networking.
Yeah, that's crazy that you wrote a book, and it's one of the best-selling sellers there.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I mean, to write a book, I couldn't even imagine. So
well, I had a lot of help. I had a lot of mentors. So
you must have learned pretty quickly. Well, back to when you did do the Fortune Builders training, and then your first year of 2014. I'm interested. Where did you do these flips? I mean, where were they?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, I knew nothing about the market, so I had my own coach through Fortune Builders, and they taught me everything about understanding the market, regardless of where you live, regardless of where you want to establish your business. And that all happened in Chicago. So basically my business started in Chicago, and it still remains in Chicago, even though I live here in San Diego full time.
And you're going to start you're going to start doing the flips in San Diego.
Yeah, as well, right? I just realized, once you know how to build a team, and once you know, for example, how to identify properties and raise equity, it's all just understanding the fluctuations in the market, as you probably already know, and just knowing where the opportunities reside. So yeah.
Is the Chicago market similar to San Diego right now, or how would you compare it to? I mean, is it?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the Chicago market, and I would say there are a lot of similarities right now for residential redevelopers in the Chicago market. Depending on where your target market is, you're going to want to stay under 250
Okay.
in after repair value. If
Yeah.
you can stay under 250 grand, which is tough being downtown and in the city, you're going to find those opportunities more so around the perimeter of downtown. But you should be able to buy, renovate, and sell those properties within a 6-month time period.
Wow.
You know, I'm still understanding and learning the San Diego market, but you know, there are a lot of lessons learned. I had a ton of success, plenty of failures, and even last year, I changed my rehabbing strategy in Chicago. I'd moved away from the high-end luxury market. I'd moved down into what in Chicago, downtown 550 after repair value is considered middle income. And several of those properties just continue to go down in value. Took some losses there. Again, it's a part of what we do. So now what I've figured out in the Chicago market is stay below 250 and you should be okay.
Yeah. And so through the training that you learned through Fortune Builders and doing your first year of all those 10 homes, do they coach you as you go along with those properties too? I mean, are you getting a coach the whole time? Or
Yes.
do you kind of learn and then you just get out there on your own? How?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, they literally hold your hand every step of the way.
Okay.
Now, again, there are so many different types of educational programs you can invest in with them. So now that I'm one of their coaches, I will have students just call me anytime they find a deal. I say, hey, think of me as your team member. I'm an extension of you. I'm a business partner. You lock up a deal tomorrow, you just call me, and I will literally hold your hand every step of the way. I will help you analyze the deal. I'm not going to do it for you, but I'll guide you and educate you so that you understand it.
Right.
But it's really that easy. If you're disciplined and you can just implement and take action, you'll be successful.
Well, that's amazing. It sounds like they really opened a lot of doors up for you, which
They
is
did.
Like great because it is a hard industry to get into, and when you don't have the right people around you or the right coaching or the right influence, sometimes you get lost.
Yeah.
And there's so many little things that go along with it that it's nice to have found the company or the coach or whatnot, the schooling that helped you go along that way. And what I heard was she got a husband out of it.
I did. So yes, I'm forever grateful to this organization, this company, the leaders, everyone who's a part of this community. And I did meet my husband through multiple conferences within this community.
Yeah.
And I tell people, it's like I joke about it and we're laughing, we're having a great time, but it's really had a snowball effect on me personally and professionally. And if it was not for this community, the Fortune Builders community, I would not be where I am today.
Your whole life just changed.
It changed, and there were definitely tough times. I lost a couple of my best girlfriends throughout this process, and I think the reason why that happened is because I was so passionate about living that lifestyle by design and entrepreneurship that I was trying to force it on them.
Yeah.
And they didn't want it and they weren't ready and I couldn't let it go. And that's hard for me to still accept till this day. But all that said, I've met plenty of other new girlfriends and guy friends and team members and mentors and coaches and peers all over the country because of what's been going on. So
yeah, I mean, it takes a certain personality and a certain drive to actually have that entrepreneur inside of you. Like it really does. You can't force that on anybody. You're either a leader and you just. I mean, I know when I think about my dreams and my goals, I mean, I really make them a reality. I mean, I really think like I can do this, and I think that's where it takes me. It takes me further because I really believe in myself, and I think that you have to have that dream and that belief within yourself to really push it past what you think you can do, So it's awesome that, you have came this far. And I think it's amazing when there's female flippers because there's not that many out there. And
Thanks.
I mean, a lot of the women are intimidated because it is kind of a man's world. So it's like to be able to, I think we're better anyways, but I'm just biased. But no, I think it's amazing that, you can be able to get out there and actually accomplish 10 homes in your first year. I mean, a lot of people cannot do that. So,
thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So after your whole schooling and your training, and you got and you got your feet wet, you started doing flips, you met your husband. After that, you got onto HGTV. Is that how it worked? Or how did they find you, or what did you like? How did you come across that opportunity?
Yeah, I get that question so often, and that's one of the reasons I decided to write this book. Is it came purely out of strategic networking.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things I talk about in my book is how can you leverage from the resources around you in order to achieve either your personal goals or your professional goals. So what happened was I was actually interviewing a virtual assistant at the time to help manage my social media for my real estate company. And I'll never forget it. Her name was Whitney. She was very sharp. She was 21. And at the end of the interview, she asked me, she said, hey, what are your long and short-term goals? And I was pleasantly surprised. And I told her, I said, hey, I haven't said this to anybody, but one of my long-term goals is to host my own TV show. And she said, and I was very timid and shy and introvert about that. And she said, oh, well, my mom knows one of the producers at HGTV. Would you like an introduction?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
you know? So
Right.
back to your example, like thoughts expand, have goals, share your goals with people, talk about it. You know, word of mouth goes a long way. And so that's kind of how I got my foot into the door, and then that led to a 4-part, I guess you could say, mini-series. And then as you and I were talking about earlier today, there are a couple of other opportunities that we're discussing right now, so we'll see if they
Yeah.
come to fruition.
Yeah, very cool. Well, definitely you guys have to check out her on HGTV, and it's on 2 different shows, right? There's, which ones
Yeah,
are they?
they're actually on there's shows that are already established, House Hunters, and then House Hunters, Where Are They Now? And what was
Okay.
cool about that show is, for the first time in the history of that show, they were able to take me as a regular old home buyer and just show my transformation over time to being a full-time residential redeveloper.
Okay.
So they'll show my properties on House Hunters, and then House Hunters, Where Are They Now? They'll show the renovation, they introduce my team, and then it ends with me saying, hey, I'm pursuing this full-time, and here's what, you know, my life looks like now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
So how much of that was reality, and how, like, how, I always want to know, because I mean, this is the whole reason why I kind of wanted to do this show on here, is because so many people follow the flipping school or the flipping, you know,
Yeah.
movies and or shows or whatever, and they think that it's that easy, and there's just so much
Yeah, that goes
false
into it.
information. So how realistic was
Okay,
it, honestly?
So honestly, as far as the show is concerned, none of it was scripted.
Okay.
They didn't tell us to say certain things. That was all real. The emotions, the reactions were all real. But what a lot of people don't see is the numbers, right? So the show was only 30 minutes. So I had to provide a high-level summary of purchase price, repairs, and the resale price. And what a lot of people don't see are the holding costs, the cost of capital. You know, are there change orders that have been incorporated into your renovation cost? So if somebody sees that I bought a house for $200 and I sold it for $400, they're going to think that that's all profit.
Right.
Right? And so there's so much that goes into that
Yeah.
that's not shown
Right.
on TV.
And I mean, just cushioning for those risk factors, and if anything happens during the renovation that you were unseen. You know, I
Right.
mean, those are always things that people don't calculate for.
Yeah,
They don't realize
absolutely.
that there was, that much of a issue within the
Yeah.
walls. So. Yeah, that's really cool. Like, and so they filmed that whole thing through start to finish, and then
Yes.
just kind of, very cool.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of fun, and it's got its moments. You'll have your highs and lows and wins and losses. At the end of the day, if you know how to problem solve, you've got the right mindset, you know how to build a team and just get along with people, I think that'll rise to the top, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, with right now, I mean, just with like how you're saying the strategic networking and just getting, I mean, with this industry, it's kind of the same thing in San Diego, and Chicago's probably the same way. Like most states, when there's a lot of renovations going and flipping going on, I mean, you have to kind of know, you have to network with those fellow investors. I mean, we still do a lot of wholesales in San Diego. Do you do wholesales? Or
Yeah, I
were you doing any type of
do.
wholesales?
I'm actually going to be doing more probably wholesaling here than rehabbing, and not because I don't love the rehabbing process. I absolutely love it. And as long as you're following a system and you don't deviate, then you can be successful even during tough times.
Right.
Due to some changes in my personal life, I've decided to downsize the rehabbing business, pursue some other things like the networking, coaching, and speaking, and then wholesaling more so.
Yeah, and getting into all of that, because you've, kind of, what I love really is when you can go to a coach or you can go to a mentor who has actually experienced it themselves. Like, it's hard for me to go to someone to coach me on something that they haven't personally experienced.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me. I mean, even personally, if you're getting coached personally, or I mean, someone said like, you go to a family, divorce coach or whatnot, whatever they're called, therapists, and they've been divorced 4 or 5 times. Like, would you really take advice from those people?
Right, Myrtle.
So I like that you coach, but you've done all of this too,
right?
And there, you don't have the excuses that everyone uses.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and that's a mindset that my mentors instilled in me. Is look, unless you can do it and you have the experience and you're currently active in the industry, then you're going to be able to provide a superior customer service to your client. So all of my coaches and mentors, they still renovate homes. They still work actively in the business. For example, Fortune Builders, the way I started, they're still very active here in the local market. I mean, there are things that they've taken globally. And the great thing about them and what sets them apart from other people is that they still work in the business. So whenever they have a new system and strategy that they implement internally, they roll it out to all their students. So that's, I think, one of the big benefits and mindset shift that will come with breaking into this new industry and just learning from scratch.
Right. Yeah, because they have a lot of students that they've never done real estate at all.
Yeah.
And they're just learning from scratch. And I thought about that before, because Fortune Builders, they do a lot of volume.
They do.
They're, I think, the #1 schooling for real estate. So I was thinking, why do all these people pay money to do this coaching? Because for me, I just was into real estate in my mind, like from a young age, and I became a realtor, and I kind of just learned along the way. But I have to think back, like, oh, these people don't know anything.
Right.
Like, well, A, they don't know anything, and then B, I think, when I really thought about it, thought, okay, you know what? You do need coaching in this type of, especially right now in this hard market.
Agreed.
Because if you want to get into this industry and you really want to do good, you have to surround yourself. And if it's coaching and hand-holding along the way, and making sure that you're doing the right steps, they're kind of covering you in a way of coaching you. And this is the time of the market that's when you need it, because it is a tough time. I mean, there's a lot of realtors falling out of the market, and there's a lot of investors falling out of the market right now because it is tough.
Yeah.
And you get burned on one deal, which could happen to the best. Even the best of the best right now are getting burned, and they're unloading properties.
And I agree with you, and it's happened to me, and I do believe that surrounding yourself with like-minded people, those on the same mission as you, is huge. And there are going to be times where, I could have said, forget it, Fortune Builders, I'm not going to invest in my education. I want to go to Barnes & Noble, log on to Bigger Pockets, talk to some people in the industry who do the business and figure it out. Could I have done it? Maybe. It would have taken me way longer. I would have made way more mistakes. I wouldn't have had the systems and the team in place that I have now.
Right.
So it just depends on what your goals are and what you want, right? So I have found so much value in having coaches and mentors, even therapists, in all aspects of my personal and professional life.
Yeah, it paid off.
Yeah,
Paid off for you.
Thank you.
So after you did all that, I'm trying to break her life down. You did the HGTV, and then from that you decided to write a book because you had already all this experience.
I just had so many students reaching out to me, and when I say students, I mean people like outside of my inner circle, even outside of Fortune Builders, just people in the industry who fortunately saw some of my success, and they were like, hey, how did you do that? And sure, combined with my education, there are ways to talk to people, ways to set goals. And because I kept getting so many questions from people about, hey, what are those tips? I was like, look, I've got them all in my mind. I may as well put pen to paper, and now I can provide something of value and service to people who really want to sharpen their networking skills, but strategically just network with intent, network with a purpose, and just be very mindful when they're talking to people. Have a point, have an agenda. You're not there to dilly-dally. Right. And again, a lot of the tips that I share in my book, I share 5 networking ninja tips. you can implement in either your personal or professional life. And it's not going to cost anything for people to buy into these systems and tools. They're day-to-day activities and mindset shifts and strategies that I share that anybody can implement.
So is this book, is it mainly for investors or like flipping, or is it for people in general?
That's a great question. So I share my story in the book. And so my examples that I shared are my real estate examples. But this can apply to anybody, a business owner, entrepreneur, an employee of a company, a family member, anybody who has a personal or professional goal, they can benefit from strategic networking in order to achieve those goals.
Yeah, there's definitely networking in every industry, that's for sure. And like, I think even more so now, and I think it's important just because the way that the society is now with everything is so online. And I mean, I think social media is obviously a part of networking, but you see these people on social media and you might feel like you get to know them, you get to know about their life a little bit, you know, this or that, but actually going to network with people in person and going to events and, you know, putting yourself in these groups where you actually do meet, I think it's crucial right now because everything is so online that people avoid seeing people in person, you know, so it's like you gotta kind of get yourself out there. And what different types of networking do you state in your book? I mean, is there certain ones that stand out?
Yeah, you know, there are so many people who will go to an event, a networking event, regardless of what it's for, and they just suddenly become really shy, or they're not an introvert, but suddenly they freeze up and they don't know what to say or how to talk to people. So one of the systems and tools that I share in my book is, hey, here's a list of 10 general questions you can ask anybody at any networking event to just soften up the conversation, get your foot into the door, just be a normal person. You don't have to be scripted, like have feelings and always offer your services. How can I help you? And you know, like what brings you here today? So that's one of the things that I talk about. I talk about different ways that you can leverage from social media in order to achieve your goals, whether it's traveling more, financial goals, fitness and health goals, business goals. So, you know, how do you talk to people at a restaurant, at the grocery store? Again, just taking everything that's around you on a daily basis and just being more mindful and strategic with it.
I need to read that book. Especially going to network events. Like, I always have to have my wingman. Like, I hate going to things by myself.
And that's so normal.
Yeah, I'm just always like, I don't, to walk in by myself and then have to go meet people. Like,
march up to a group of people.
Yeah, I'm like terrified of that. It's like, I can't do it. I'm terrified to even be on camera, but I made myself do it.
And that's normal. And I didn't realize how many people, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, you're comfortable. I mean, did you ever feel that way, or are you comfortable with it?
So I was very shy growing up. I didn't break out of my shy side probably until I was 30. So it took a while, but once I did and I realized, hey, you're no more intimidating than the next person. We're all just people. And it's like, I joke about it and I say it so much over the phone or from stage, but it's like, just be a normal person. You know, I don't know how else to say it, but we're all people and we all are working towards common goals and we have common values and common reasons for wanting to be successful in life, and let's just help each other out.
And now, you know, since you've been doing the coaching and you've been doing the speaker for Fortune Builders and this and that, I mean, what's your schedule like? I mean, are you doing that on a monthly basis, weekly basis? How does that go?
It's pretty cool. So I'm an independent contractor for them, and so my commitment right now is I'll go out on 2 weekends a month, and I'm one of their fulfillment speakers.
Okay.
And they're very flexible. And then what I'll do is during the week, I'll coach some of their students on the phone. So it's not that time consuming. My business in Chicago is on autopilot. So outside of that time, I'm just, you know, building my brand, networking with Amy, and just getting more into the networking guru side of things. And at some point, maybe I will do my own coaching and speaking, but just as it pertains to networking. I'm not really interested in offering real estate coaching outside of what I'm already doing, but think of me as a life coach, a mentor, as it pertains to just achieving any of your goals.
Yeah. Is that something that you see in the future as for yourself, is to coach others, or to kind of, because right now you're just coaching like a lot of the students, right?
So I have several different businesses that I own and operate. I work for Fortune Builders, and I do their events twice a weekend.
Okay.
But outside of that, I've got my business in Chicago, and then I do have my own clients that I coach and I'll speak at, but only as it pertains to strategic networking.
Okay.
I'm not interested to coach and teach others how to become residential redevelopers. But if you need help networking and you've got some health or fitness goals, then I'm there to help you guys out.
And that's definitely something I think a lot of people will find value in right now,
Yeah.
because they do. It's so overwhelming. Like I'm not a millennial, or I'm the last year of the millennial, I guess. But for me, it's just overwhelming. All this social media and all these accounts and trying to get out there, and I just don't have time for it. I actually hate it. I seriously.
So there are ways you can outsource that.
Yeah, it's like I will post a fun photo
Yeah.
every once in a while of just goofing off, but it's like the stuff that they want you to do and stuff. It's just like, post this many times a day, do this time. Like they just, it's crazy. I'm like, I have too many accounts to do this on, and
Like
you have your personal, your business, and it's like
that alone is a full-time job,
Yeah.
just managing social media.
right.
But again, if you're like strategic about it and you're very like intentional with what your goals are and your objectives, and those are things you can outsource. There are ways that you can get people to help who are experts in just social media to launch and manage all of that for you.
Yeah, I think it pays off if you hire the right company to do it for you, because they are basically strategically putting it on there at the right time of the day, and watch
makes a
how many
difference,
clicks you
right?
get and all that, so
Yeah.
it is important. And I think just having that coach to coach you along of like where you need to the different directions that you can take your business.
Yeah.
It's definitely powerful for someone to hire that out too. And
Yeah, and I agree with you. And so many people just need like a buddy, an accountability partner, someone to push them that extra mile. And it's the same thing. Like, I know how to work out. I can go to the gym. Do I do it? No. I don't do it consistently. So that's why I've got some.
We can be workout buddies.
Yeah. So it's like it's the same thing. I can help you with networking, and I can help you achieve your personal, professional goals. And I'm very good at outsourcing, thinking strategically. I have plenty of weaknesses,
Right.
but when it comes to networking, I think that it happens to be a strength of mine.
I think for this year, it is for me, at least for the new year. I thought just surrounding yourself with people you look up to constantly, because I think it does help naturally coach and build you up. And I think finding that core group of people that you really look up to, and hanging out with you are who you hang out with. And,
Totally.
The friends that push you to the next limit, or even those friends that you have that healthy competitiveness with. It's
Yeah.
it takes you up further. It's just like two siblings who are always competing against each other. It makes them better, So I like that healthy competition.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. And then actually, since you brought that up, I remember waking up in 2017, and I was looking around at my circle, and I was like, and I actually remember, this is interesting and could be sad, but I'm like, wow, Amy, like, you're such a loser. Like, you're not doing anything right now. But I had $11 million going on in renovations. I was coaching. I was speaking. But I had outsourced all of it. I had a team of really great people who were managing all that for me. But when I looked at my surroundings and my inner circle and my friends, they were all doing things at a much higher level. So that's actually what helped push me to write the book. I was like, oh, well, all of my friends are writing a book, so I may as well write a book.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what triggered it. But then, so I agree with you. Like, surrounding yourself with like-minded people will take you to a whole other level, if that's what you want.
Right.
So
I know with myself, and I'm like, I compete with myself every single year. Like, I don't really compete with too many around. I surround myself with those good people, but I always want to beat my goals. Beat what I did the year before. So I'm hard on myself, and like you said, you felt like a loser, like, and you were doing all this stuff. Like, I do that every single year. I always feel like I didn't do good enough. Like, I'm like, I'm happy, but I could have did better.
Could have done more.
I'm like, okay, I had 3 months here that were slow, and month here, like, I could have did more, and I don't even know why I think that way. I just always want to do better. I'm always hard on myself, and I think it's just because you do surround yourself with people who are doing more.
Right.
And so you're like, I can do more, and I don't know why. I'm always like trying to do better than the year before, even though I was happy. It's just something that
But I think that that's normal and that's human nature,
Yeah.
and we always want to be the best and the best versions of ourselves, and how can we contribute and be a better member of society, like whatever it is. And it was actually in 2018 that one of my personal life coaches helped me realize, like, Amy, who cares about your competition? Like, what is competition? You've got your goals, focus on your goals, you do you, and don't worry about everything else.
Yeah.
So then I really cut back a lot in 2018 because I realized I was doing it for the wrong reasons. So that's one of the reasons, like, I love rehabbing, I'll still do it, just not at the same scale that I used to be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of go off of how I feel, and maybe that's why I compete with myself, is because I'm always, no one's going to be in the same category as, I mean, I could look at one person, and I mean, they could do an amazing, like, they could do however many transactions, and you're blown away, and like, you never even knew, like, they were fighting cancer at the same time, or they were battling this or battling that, or someone had passed away, or, so it's like you could never actually, I mean, numbers to me is just numbers. Like, I don't care how many transactions you've done, for in real estate or like flips or anything, like how much you've done. To me, it's not about, it's not about, oh, who did the most, or it's about what you went through to get there. And, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people who've gone through a lot of hard tragedies or hardships or losses, and to still make it out and do well.
Right.
It's like that's where I see, where I compare, like, wow, like that person did that with that, going on in their life. So, is there comments on there? I cannot read, but I see some stuff.
Amy is an awesome coach from Rye Ashley.
Thanks, girl.
Phyllis said, so proud of Amy.
Oh, thanks, Mama.
Sean said, Amy is killing this interview. So poised.
Oh.
Thank you.
And you're at 30
Thanks,
minutes
guys.
left.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for watching. We're at 30 minutes now.
Yep.
All right, thanks for watching, you guys, and thank you so
Thank
much for being
you.
on. Is there anything else? I mean, there's your book. You guys check it out if you want to buy it. Where could they buy this book at?
You can go to my website, which is amymahjoory.com, or just Google Networking with a Purpose, and it'll show up on Amazon.
There it is. So check it out. Go buy her book. And yeah, thank you, Amy. If you guys want to message her, if you have any questions, anything like that, she's tagged on here on this Facebook. So like her, and thanks for watching. Have a good New Year.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.